The vibration of Nomi's cheap phone was the alarm clock of her conscience, a reminder that the world did not stop just because she was exhausted. At 19, with a slim frame and luminous chocolate complexion, she was meant to be experiencing the thrilling freedom of Palm Ridge University. Instead, she was calculating how many meals she could skip this week. Nomi was a first-year varsity student, but her most important subject was survival. Her scholarship was a lifeline, not just for her, but for the 2 people who depended on her back home. It was a generous package, covering her tuition, lodging, food, and clothes. Crucially, it left her with a small, precious monthly stipend, money she never dared spend on herself. That money, every single cent, was wired home for her 9-year-old brother, Tepelo, and her mother, Monio. A few years ago, the word struggle was something Nomi read in textbooks, not a condition of her life. Her parents had a comfortable home and a stable income. Then came the divorce. It was swift, messy, and devastatingly efficient at dismantling their financial security. Monio, now 41, tall, slim, with a cascade of long African hair that still drew admiring glances, was left with the house and a small, quickly depleted settlement. She also found herself stranded in a profound and stubborn struggle. The problem wasn't just the loss of her husband's income, it was a refusal to replace it. Monio settled into a routine of passive despair. She would spend her days talking on the phone to friends, recounting the injustice of the divorce and the cruelty of her ex-husband. She never once updated her CV, registered for a skills course, or even considered the modest small businesses that thrived in their neighborhood, selling snacks, braiding hair, or offering catering services. "I am not built for this kind of grind, Nomi," she would sigh dramatically during their strained weekly calls. "Your father is the one who took everything. We are victims of his selfishness. It's not fair that I have to start from zero." This blame became her shield. She lived in a perpetual state of shock, treating her current poverty as a temporary state of siege, waiting for her ex-husband to suddenly feel guilty or for a miracle to arrive. And so, the burden shifted entirely to Nomi, the child who was supposed to be focusing on economics lectures and making friends. Nomi's scholarship was not just paying for her life, it had become the family's primary, unacknowledged income source. Tepelo, her little brother, a curious and sweet 9-year-old in primary school, often ran out of necessary things like school shoes or stationery. Nomi's money paid for those too. One afternoon, Nomi sat in the university library, staring at a new pair of hiking boots she desperately needed for a compulsory field trip. She had saved for months. Just as she was about to click purchase online, a message arrived from her mother, "Nomi, Tepelo needs a new uniform urgently. His pants tore. Please send her 500. I don't know what I'd do without you." Nomi closed the window for the boots. She knew that a 500 wasn't just for the uniform, it was likely a 200 for the uniform and a 300 for the loaf of bread Monio hadn't bothered to go out and sell or work for. Nomi sighed, her gaze drifting out the window to the sprawling, expensive campus. She was thriving only because of her own hard work and the generosity of strangers, yet her mother seemed determined to ensure that Nomi's success was not her liberation, but her continued bondage. Nomi sent the money, the weight of being the adult in the family pressing down on her young shoulders. Palm Ridge was beautiful, a bubble of manicured lawns and sandstone buildings that felt a million miles away from the crumbling pavement back home. Nomi's exhaustion wasn't academic, it was existential. While her peers stressed over minor deadlines, she wrestled with the fear of failure, knowing that anything less than a distinction level average would snatch away her scholarship and plunge her whole family into ruin. She saw the casual ease of the other students, the carefree shopping sprees, the weekly outings, the expensive coffee that Nomi knew she couldn't justify even once a month. She worked every spare hour in the campus cafeteria, but the wages went straight to covering the gaps in Monio's budget. She constantly operated on a deficit of sleep, of food, and of emotional support. The constant drain, emotional and financial, began to twist Nomi's perspective. She saw the sleek cars of older men waiting outside the student residence, carrying girls who never worried about a 500. They wore clothes Nomi couldn't afford with an entire month's stipend. The temptation started as a whisper, then grew into a desperate, rational voice, "It's just quick cash. It's temporary. You need to keep Tepelo fed and Monio quiet." One night, exhausted after an 8-hour shift at the library, she was approached by a man in an expensive suit offering her a ride, and more. The desperation almost won. Nomi stood there, calculating the immediate relief his offer represented against the future she was fighting for. She thought of the promise she had made to herself, that she would be the one to break the cycle, to build a stable life rooted in her intellect, not her body. With a knot of shame and a surge of furious determination, she shook her head, her voice thin but firm. No. Thank you, I'd rather walk. The decision left her trembling, but also reinforced her commitment to her scholarship, the only clean path out she had left. The stress at Pomridge was only half the battle, the real disaster was unfolding back home. With Manio constantly distracted by self-pity and calls to her friends, 9-year-old Tepelo was left largely unsupervised and emotionally abandoned. The sweet, curious boy began to grow rebellious. His defiance wasn't loud, it was quiet and destructive. He started skipping primary school, preferring to roam the streets with older boys. His teachers called Manio, but she was too busy complaining about the cost of electricity to truly listen. When she did try to exert authority, Tepelo met her with a hostility born of neglect. One evening, he was brought home by a neighbor after being caught trying to spray graffiti on the local bus shelter. The neighbor, a kindly elder, tried to talk sense into Manio. He needs structure, Neo. He needs you to be present. Manio didn't look at the neighbor. She didn't look at Tepelo. She dramatically held her chest and wailed, "See what that divorce did to my children. My son is becoming a criminal because his father abandoned us. Why is this tragedy falling on me alone?" When she did try to punish him, Tepelo, usually quiet, unleashed the true source of his pain. "Why should I listen to you?" he'd retort, dropping the formal respect he once used. "You just sit here all day. Nomi is the only one who works. You just cry about Dad." His words, blunt and cruel, were a mirror reflecting Manio's complete lack of accountability. They stung her, not into action, but into further retreat. She would hit him, then cry, then call Nomi, shifting the blame for Tepelo's behavior onto the divorce, onto the school, onto Nomi for being so far away. The instability had festered, transforming Tepelo from a dependent child into a small, angry mirror of the family's decay, proving that careless parenting had corrosive effects that went far beyond mere money. The tragic consequences suffered by Nomi and Tepelo are a powerful lesson in parental accountability, especially during and after a life-altering event like a divorce or loss. There is no formula for a perfect life, but there are necessary principles for responsible parenting. Never give up on your dreams or identity. The first duty to your children is to show them how to thrive. Never give up on your dreams or sense of self, regardless of changes in your relationship status, family structure, or financial standing. Your ambition is a map of their own. Commit to lifelong self-improvement, keep trying to better your life by any means necessary. You are never too old to learn a new skill, start a small business, or update your professional credentials. Independence is earned through effort, not luck. Take full responsibility for your children. Shielding your children from the full weight of adult problems, both financial and emotional, is paramount. Children, even young adults, should never become the family's primary financial or emotional safety net. This is a burden that compromises their future. Effort to turn it around. In a life-changing situation like a divorce or financial loss, you must make an effort to turn it around for good. Avoid the path of passive despair and blame. Your resilience is the most important lesson you can model for your children. We hope this compelling narrative resonated with you, and you appreciate stories that shine a light on the complex realities and deep emotional truths of the continent. If you enjoy authentic and powerful storytelling, we invite you to subscribe to African Concept Storytelling. We are dedicated to telling compelling African narratives just like this one.